Hello and welcome to the lesson. My name is Lisa and I am going to show you a taxable income question. And we're going to work through the solution together. So I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully I can get through the entire solution in the 5 minutes that's allotted, but I may not. So if not, somebody may just need to ask me to sign up for a session, and we can go through it at that time as well. So here is the question. It says, consider another hypothetical tax code. Assume the tax rate on the first $15,000 of taxable income is 10%. So that's a really important expression right there. The taxable income, the first 15,000 of taxable income is 10%. Taxable income is different than total income, and you'll see that in a minute. So the tax rate on the first 15,000 of taxable income is 10%, and the tax rate on any additional income is 18%. The standard deduction, $63.50, and personal exemption, $40.50, still apply. Now they're assuming that you know what those two words mean. Those are perks that we're allowed to subtract from our total income in order to get our taxable income. So I kind of made a definition down here. I'm just going to skip down to it real quick. Your taxable income is your total income, like your paycheck. Probably don't get a paycheck anymore, but it might be digital. But your total income is your paycheck minus the deductions and exemptions. That's what your taxable income is. And they're wanting us to call our total income X. So total income is X. And we take our total income and subtract our deductions and exemptions to get our taxable income. So taxable income equals X minus $63.50 plus $40.50. In other words, taxable income equals X minus 10,400. So that's important to know the difference between the taxable income and the total income. We'll get to this in a minute. So let's go back up to the problem. So the standard deduction $63.50 and personal exemption of $40.50 still apply. In other words, so now they're going to kind of explain it. For taxable income from 0 to 15,000, you pay 10% of your taxable income in taxes. Plus, for taxable income above that 15,000, you pay 18% of your taxable income. So we can make like a summary type of equation just from those two statements. And I did that down here, but I just want to show you what these two lines mean. As I read through the questions, they're asking me a question, well, if your total income before exemptions was $10,000, how much would you pay? Your total income was $20,000, how much would you pay? If your total income was $50,000, how much would you pay? Then number 4, they said, write a function, and functions are either like f of x or something of x, t of x, something. But they ask you to write a function to model the total tax paid t of x. So they're saying they want us to call total tax paid, they want us to call that t of x. And they said make a function to model total tax paid t of x with a total income of x dollars. So they want our total income to be called x. So that's what I did here. Let our total income equal x. And they said, let the total tax paid be a function of that x. And they used t instead of f, which can kind of be confusing, but you can also think of that as your y. But we'll get to that in a minute. So our tax paid is going to be a function. It's going to be dependent on the total income that we get, total income in our paycheck. So paycheck is your total income, and our taxable income is just our total income x minus our perks, x minus 10.4. So if I wanted to just summarize what my total tax paid would be, this is how I would say it to myself. My tax paid, or my t of x or y, equals the first $15,000 of my taxable income will be taxed at 10%. So 10% times the first $15,000 of taxable income. Take that amount and add it to whatever's left over above and beyond that first 15,000. So I'd have to take 15,000 away from my remaining taxable income. I'm sorry, I would take 15,000 away from my taxable income because it's already accounted for here. Once I did that, that would be my remaining. I guess I could call it my remaining taxable. They call it additional up here, remaining or additional taxable income. So that remaining taxable income then gets taxed at 18%. So this amount plus the left side amount is our total tax paid. So that summary we can use for just about any scenario that they're going to ask us. So we're going to go through the questions now, and I rewrote the questions. Number 1, if your total income now before exemptions were $10,000, how much would you pay? Okay, well, total income, we know our total income is X. X is $10,000. So our taxable income is our X, or $10,000, minus our perks. Remember our perks up here. So 10,000 minus 10.4 is a negative 400. Well, that means our taxable income is a negative number. Basically, what we're saying is your taxable income is essentially zero. So if your taxable income is less than zero, like it is here, then your taxable income is zero. And if your taxable income is zero, that means you're not getting taxed on it. Tax on zero is zero. But we can't put it in our little equation up here. We can still put negative 400 in there, but it's essentially zero, so I would just put zero in. So the first 15,000 of taxable income, which we already said is essentially zero, would just be zero. 0 times 10% is 0. And then this right half isn't even applicable because there's nothing left over from 0, obviously. So I just put 0 in again for this portion. Is 0. 0 times 18%. So there you go. So you could say to yourself, well, I'm not going to get a positive number until my total income is bigger than 10,400. You know, it's got to be 10,401 for me to even have a taxable income. And that'll be one of our rules when we get to the end and create our model of functions. So that was question 1. So if your total income is 10,000, you pay 0 in taxes. So number 2, if your total income were 20,000, let me just make sure that I am okay. I wanted to make sure I was recording. Okay. So if your total income were 20,000, how much would you pay in taxes? Total income X is 20,000. So the taxable income is 20,000 minus 10,4, which is 9,600. Well, since 9,600 is, it's bigger than 0, but it's less than 15,000. Remember, our taxable income now. It's less than 15,000. So at least we know we're going to use this left side because it says tax paid is the first 15,000 of your taxable income. You take that times 10%. Well, the first 15,000 for us is just 9,600. So 9,600 times 10% here is just $960. Now, we don't have anything more for this right side because we didn't even go up to 15,000. So we don't have to fill in the right side, but you could put numbers in there. Like you could say, okay, I did the first 15,000. Let's fill in the numbers. Taxable income minus the 15,000 we accounted for. Well, that gives us a negative 5,400. Note, a negative remaining income of 5,400 is essentially 0. So 0 times 18% would be 0. So yes, we only had to do the left side of this equation. So this scenario would be another whole new rule or, a different function when your income is a certain amount, when your taxable income is between 0 and 15,000. So, and we'll get to that rule in a minute. So that's number 2. So number 3, if your total income were 50,000, how much would you pay? Well, 50,000, so our taxable income now, 50,000 is our total. 50,000 minus our perks leaves us with a taxable income of 39,600. So the tax paid is the first 15,000 of this taxable income times 10%. Well, the first 15,000 of this is 15,000, right? So 15,000 times 10% is 1,500. But now we have to go and do the remaining amount times 18%. Well, the remaining amount would be our taxable income of 39,600 minus the 15,000 we already accounted for. That gives us 24,600. And we multiply that now by 18%, which gives us 44,28. So we add the 2 together, gives us a total of 59,28 is our tax that we pay when we make a total income of 50,000. So now number 4, write a function to model the total tax paid T of X, which we've been using all along, with a total income of X dollars, which we've been using X as our total income all along. But they want us to write a function to model it. Well, we've got 3 different rules here for this function. Notice this last one, we use both sides of the equation for this last one. So let's see our scenarios. Let's recall when our total income, I'm sorry. I'm just recalling what our variables stand for. X equals our total income, and T of X is the tax paid. So T of X is a function of X. The tax paid is a function of our total income. In other words, the tax paid is dependent on our total income. Our total income is independent. It's an independent variable, X. Tax paid is a dependent variable. You'll hear those words sometimes. So those are our variables. Now when X, our total income, is less than or equal to 10.4, our perks, then our tax paid is 0. Because, if we had 10,004 as our total income of X, well, X minus 10.4, that's our taxable income. Well, 10.4 minus 10.4 is 0. So that's 0 taxable income, which means we have 0 tax. Our tax is 0 as well. So that's one scenario. And then when our total income is bigger than 10.4, if say it's 10,401, but it's smaller or equal to 15,000 plus that perk. We always have to remember that perk, because remember, this 15,000 is our taxable income, and we don't get this number until we subtract the perk. So our total income X has to be 15,000 plus our perk. So when our total income is greater than 10,004 but less than or equal to 25.4, then we know that we're taking 10% of that number, because our tax paid then would be our total income minus our perk, which even if it's 25.4 minus 10.4 is 15,000. And remember, 15,000 as a taxable income just gets taxed 10%. So as long as we're within this range here, it's 10% tax. So just simplifying this using the distributive property, because of course when you have a function, they just want everything in terms of x and y. So let's just simplify this line. 0.10 times x is just 0.10x. 0.10 times 10,400 is 1040. Don't forget the negative sign. That's our function. But that's our function when x is between these two numbers only. So, and this is our function when x is less than or equal to 10.4. And now the third scenario, when x is greater than this 15,000 plus 10.4. So when x is greater than 25.4, now we can use the whole equation that I had up there. Remember, I was only using half of it. I was using the first half and for that second part, and then on the third one I was using the entire equation. So when that's the case, now we can just kind of rewrite the equation. So it would be the first 15,000. So when x, or your total income, is greater than 25.4, your tax paid would be 15,000 times 10%, which is 1,500. And then the right part of the equation would be your total income minus your perk minus the 15,000 we already accounted for. This gives us our remaining amount. So I just combined like terms here, x minus 25.4, and I combine these two. And now I'll use the distributive property. 0.18 times x is just 0.18x. 0.18 times negative 25.4 is negative 4572. Combine these two like terms, I get negative 3072. Bring down the 0.18x, and this is my equation. And I just put a y here because t of x is the same thing as y when you put it into a program for graphing, like a graphics program. So these are our three equations. So I can take these three equations and I can go ahead and put them into Desmos, and we'll see how they compare to each other. So we'll go to Desmos, desmos.com. Here's my first equation, y equals 0, and that's the red line, and you can see it here. Now remember, the x represents the total income. So I have a 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 going all the way up to 50,000 here. And then the y value represents the tax paid. So y equals 0, you could see it intersects the blue line. Well, let's see what the blue line is. It's that same equation, our second scenario, 0.1x minus 1040. That's when x is between, when our total income is between 10.4 and 25.4. So at 10.4, you can see you pay 0 tax. And we know that to be true because at 10.4, if your total income x here is 10.4 and you subtract your perks that are 10.4, you get a 0 taxable income. Well, 0 taxable income means you have 0 income that's taxable. So your tax is 0. But notice the intersection where the red one and the blue one meet are where the blue kicks in. So the blue kicks in when x, or your taxable income, is greater than 10.4. Let's go see. Is that what we said? This is our second one. When x is greater than 10.4, yes. Or when it's less than or equal to 25.4, that's when we can use this equation. Okay, x is 10.4 there. Well, let's see this other intersection. I'll be darned, it's 25.4. So and that's the intersection of the blue line, the second one, and the green line, the third one. So this is where the third one takes off and is true for. So it's kind of neat how they all intersect. So you can see that the blue one ends at 25.4, and is that where we told it to end? And the tax is $1,500. Well, 25.4, if that's your income, your total income, you subtract your perk of 10.4, you're left with 15,000. Well, the tax on 15,000 is 10%, which would give us 1,500, and I'll be darned, that's what it says, 1,500 for your tax, your Y value. So let's just make sure. Yes, we said it's only true up to 25.4. And then the third scenario, x is greater than 25.4, or when x is greater than 25.4, when your total income is greater than 25.4, this green line is your tax, and you can see how it increases because you're making more money. And this is the equation then that you would be using. So you can take in your pen and it just follows this line. So when your income is $35,340, your tax is $32.89.20. So it's really neat how this works out. So Desmos is your friend. It just makes sense of everything. So I hope this was helpful. It was really fun to do this tutorial. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me or sign up for a lesson, and I'd be more than happy to help you. So let me try and go back to the screen. Stop sharing. And hopefully I can say goodbye. There we go. All right then. Well, have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.